Imagine waking up tomorrow, and GPS is gone. Not weak, not glitchy, gone. At first, that sounds like a simple inconvenience. No blue dot on your phone, no easy route to work, no voice telling you to turn left in 200 meters. For most people, GPS feels like a map problem. But if GPS failed tomorrow, the real danger would not be getting lost. The real danger would be time. Because GPS does not just help the world figure out where things are, it helps the world stay synchronized. And if that synchronization suddenly disappeared, modern life would not collapse in one dramatic explosion. It would start drifting out of rhythm, quietly, unevenly, system by system. And that might be even more dangerous. The first signs would look ordinary. Drivers would lose live navigation. Delivery routes would become less efficient. Rideshare apps, trucking fleets, and couriers would start slowing down. Some phones would still estimate location using cell towers, Wi-Fi, and stored map data. So for a little while, many people would think everything is mostly fine. But under the surface, much bigger systems would already be under pressure. Because GPS is part of something called PNT, positioning, navigation, and timing. That last word matters more than most people realize. Timing is what helps digital systems agree on exactly when something happened. And in a modern economy, that matters everywhere. Telecommunications networks depend on precise timing to keep signals aligned. Financial systems use accurate timing to timestamp transactions. Parts of the power grid, network infrastructure, and other critical systems depend on precise time as well. That is why US agencies have spent years warning that heavy dependence on GPS creates a real vulnerability. So if GPS failed tomorrow, this would not just become a transportation story. It would become a synchronization story. In the first few hours, confusion would spread unevenly. Navigation apps would degrade. Fleet operators would lose visibility. Shipping and logistics chains would slow down. Emergency vehicles could still respond, of course. But tracking, routing, and dispatch efficiency could get worse. And that is the key thing about this scenario. Most systems would not instantly die. They would become less efficient, less precise, less coordinated. And when enough important systems all become slightly worse at the same time, that is when small problems start turning into national ones. Air travel is one place where people immediately imagine catastrophe. But the reality is more complicated. Planes would not simply fall out of the sky because GPS stopped working. The FAA says it has backup systems, including terrestrial radar, to help provide resilience if GPS is degraded, spoofed, or unavailable. And for certain operations, pilots and operators are required to retain non-GPS navigation capability because GPS interference has become common enough to plan around. That does not mean aviation would be unaffected. Far from it. A GPS failure could still create delays, route disruptions, higher workload, and serious complications across the airspace system. But aviation would not be the first domino to completely collapse. In many ways, the bigger danger is not dramatic failure. It is widespread degradation, the kind that forces everything to slow down at once. Now think about shipping, cargo vessels, trucking routes, ports, rail systems, delivery fleets. All of them depend in different ways on accurate positioning and timing. Even if some operators have backups and alternate methods, losing GPS would still create friction throughout the network. Routes would be checked manually, movement would slow, errors would increase, and every delay would begin stacking on top of the next one. That means shelves do not go empty in 5 minutes, but the system becomes more expensive, more chaotic, and more fragile very quickly. Then there is the financial side. This is one of the least visible but most important parts of the story. A lot of people hear GPS outage and think about maps, but official research has pointed to GPS timing dependencies in sectors like telecommunications, electric power, and financial systems. In finance, precise timing helps timestamp transactions and keep systems aligned. So if GPS timing vanished suddenly, the question would not simply be whether money disappears. The real question would be whether the systems that process, verify, order, and synchronize activity start losing precision at the exact moment precision matters most. That is how trust erodes. Not always because everything stops, but because confidence starts to slip. And once people lose confidence in systems they normally never think about, panic starts doing its own damage. Phone networks could also feel the strain. Not necessarily as a total blackout right away, but as a rising risk of instability, inefficiency, and degraded coordination depending on the network and the backups in place. This is one reason government guidance keeps pushing resilience rather than blind dependence. Because in many organizations, time is so important that even a subtle disruption can spread fast. And that is the pattern you would likely see across the first day of a true GPS failure. Not one giant Hollywood explosion, a chain reaction of disruptions. A little slower here, a little less accurate there, a little more confusion everywhere. By afternoon, the public conversation would probably still be too narrow. Most headlines would focus on maps, flights, and military questions. But underneath that, engineers, operators, and governments would be racing to protect something much less visible: timing integrity. Because once different systems stop agreeing on time, they start struggling to agree on reality. And in a digital society, that becomes a serious problem fast. Could backups save us? In some places, yes, and that matters. The FAA has backups. Some networks have alternatives. Some sectors can hold on for a while with internal clocks, terrestrial systems, or fallback procedures. But the very fact that US agencies keep publishing resilience guidance tells you the same thing. GPS-only dependence is not safe enough. The system works brilliantly when it works, but that efficiency can hide just how much has been built on top of it. That is what makes this scenario so unsettling. Because GPS is one of those invisible technologies that feels small until you imagine the day it disappears. And when you do, you realize something important. Modern life is not held together by a single map signal. It is held together by coordination, by timing, by precision, by thousands of systems quietly agreeing with one another every second of every day. So if GPS failed tomorrow, the world would not end by sunrise. But by the end of the day, a lot of the systems that make modern life feel instant, stable, and synchronized would be under real stress. The scary part is not that everything would stop at once. The scary part is that everything would start slipping out of rhythm. And once that starts, getting back in sync may be harder than most people think. This is Raven Briefing. If you want to understand the hidden systems behind modern life, subscribe for the next briefing.